All right, so time to talk about Eminence in the Shadows. I originally looked at this set and I was disgusted at the fact that this English exclusive has really bad double R's. Like the fact that some of the commons kind of overturn the strength of the double R's, which shouldn't really be the case. But that does not mean the set has a playable deck. I think the set got a lot more hate than it deserved. As much as it deserved some of the hate on the set design, it was able to produce what I would call two workable decks. But I only think this deck specifically is good for the upcoming meta in the game and what it can do. Because things that would be considered inefficient in other decks, this deck makes up to having, a very low costing finisher. So let's get right into it. The point of this deck is for you to have 4 stock at the end game to play this finisher. This finisher is on play. You can sack one of your dudes and salvage 2 characters. You can pay to ditch 2 copies of self and then ditch 3 cards to burn 3 5 times. So this means that this has a total of 6 instances of damage. The 5 burn 3s and the swing for 2. Because it does get rid of the climax, which means your soul is being reduced down to 2. So let's start talking about how we get through this. It is 8 gates. I guess some of you guys call this pants, but I'll call it gate for the official name. So this means that you'll have no trouble slamming, jamming climaxes on your opponent all game. Let's talk about beta. Beta, this is just your standard clock plus to find your cards. You're gonna find your level 1 combo more than likely with this. So that's why this card is there. It's just the plus. We run 4 copies of this. This is your brainstormer. I see a lot of people run 3 copies. Don't do that. Run 4. Why waste your time looking for these cards? Draw them naturally and call it a day. This deck has a lot of space. So this lets you filter out cards from your hand, specifically climaxes. Because when you trigger a gate, you're able to filter out cards from your clock. So for example, if I trigger this and this is my waiting room, I can grab this to my hand. Then I can proc this effect. I can ditch the climax and grab a character or a card from my clock, and then top card of deck goes to clock. So this is very useful in just not, it can turn a climax plus into a character plus. So be mindful with that when you're clocking cards. You may want to clock something now and predict that you're going to trigger a gate so that you can get it back later. This is interchangeable. I just have this for now. I know there's promos in the set, and there are promos that are expensive. I kind of left them out. So for now, I'm playing this Climax Swapper. But if you have the promo beta Climax Swapper that I have on the screen, you can play that instead. But this is just so you have the right climax. It's just that simple. It reminds you it's a search Climax Swapper, so this is very strong in the beginning of the game. So you don't even need a climax in the waiting room. You have this in the beginning of the game. You can just use this to sack a dude that survived or whatever, neg one, to find the right climax for your 1 combo. That's all there is to say about that one. This now is a special 0 I haven't really seen often. Normally a card like this, when you ditch a climax, you can salvage, but it lets you search. And then it can give 5 for each on attack. So a lot of times, because it's 8 gates, you want to have a gate in waiting room. So if you kind of open this card up with the wrong gate, you can use this card to search out your level 1 combo or search out what other cards you want so that you can actually get what you want while setting up the gate trigger for the extra plus. This card here, I kid you not, this set, I was trying to find ways in this set to upkeep your hand early, and this is probably the best card in the set to do so. 1 or less other characters. So note, that means that you can have as many back row cards as you want, but your front row can only have 2 cards. For this to maintain this 3,500 and a level, and it chases your opponent's cards, which kind of hurts a lot of decks, especially like Oshinoko that has like a level 0 bomb. You can just run in front of it and laugh, and they got to either front it or side for 0, their choice. Now I'm going to talk about this card. This is what I throw as like a consistency card. You can ditch a character and search your deck for a character on the field equal to a character in your deck. So, for example, one of the funniest plays I've done in the last couple days is if I open up these two and I'm going first, I would play this in the front row, then play this in the back row, and ditch a bad character. Like if I have a bunch of these in my hand or something, like higher level cards, to search another copy of this and now put that in the back row. So then this will chase the opponent up on 2 cards. So unless they can hit 3,500 or higher, you basically cancel out 2 of your opponent's lanes. They lose it, or you don't take damage, and you have cards to attack them with. So that's really cool. All right, like you can also like kind of like search your finisher at level 3, right? You can use this to sack a card, salvage this card back, and then now clone this card from your deck, right? So this turns this into a salvage or search for its own self, because you need to ditch 2 copies. So I felt this card was very strong in this deck. Now, if it was ditch a card instead of character, then I think this card would be broken. But because it's ditch a character, you balance it out. And I think this card is really good in this deck. Check top 4, add 1, rest go to the waiting room, but the card you add has to be a 1 or higher card. Back in the old days, an effect similar to this was called Akatsuki. It first came out in Kantai. It's ditch a card and check top 4 for a traded character. That was too broken, so since then, Bushiroad has strayed away from those cards. You saw a lot of those cards on death, or they check level 1 or higher. Well, we've finally gone to checking on play for a 1 or higher. So we're getting closer to the old school ways of 2015 Weiss, but we're not there quite there yet. But this card lets you just move through your deck, right? You just move through your deck. I cannot reiterate, the weaker your deck is compared to other decks, the more deck space you have gives you the higher probability of blocking damage. That means you're never in a bad position. So with the amount of mill this deck has, I play 4 copies to ditch random climaxes, and as you look, all my level 1s or higher are pretty much useful on almost any stage of the game. The ones at the worst is this one. You kind of don't want this in your hand all the time. So that takes care of that card. Now for level 1s, this is a promo that you guys should have gotten for your locals. I did include it. This is definitely replaceable to what you want, like whatever card you want. But I think this card is very strong because it's a draw 2, drop 2. Note that it's a force drop 2. So if you don't draw 2, you still have to ditch 2. It's just more ways of filtering out. It's also one way of digging for a climax. Also, if you fight other memory decks such as Bunny Senpai or maybe Fairy Tail, if they somehow get too much memory, or even like Saikano, if they get too much memory, you can do this to dump them down to 4 memory so they don't have that memory, I guess if you want to call it like memory compression or something. They just don't have that extra cards out so that they have good deck states. Level 1 combo. This combo would have been insane for not it getting a level. But this card is, as long as you have 6 or less stock, you can check top 5, add 1 character. If you reveal 5 characters, you can add another character from those 5 cards. This card moves through 6 cards. This card also gets a level in 3,500 during your turn if you have 2 or more other Eminence, which means it is a 75 level 2. Now, you need to be careful with this card. You have to pay attention to the opponent's anti-change counters, because there is, like, you may not think it. You may think, oh, no one's going to drop an anti-change counter. For those of you know, this is similar to an anti-change counter. This is an anti-change counter, level 1 one as well, right? So for example, we're going to use this card to show you. If I play 3 of these and I'm out a bunch of climaxes on my first attack, my opponent drops this, they lose 3 cards from their hand, but they kill one of these. So now the Eminence player lost the stock that card would have given, lost the check top 5 that card would have given, and lost the reverse that card would have given them. So if your opponent's out a lot of climaxes, or like if you, the Eminence player, are out a lot of climaxes, be careful, because if they stop your mill, they're losing those resources, but you're about to eat a level of damage. So be very careful with that. Other than that, this card is fat, and it's just going to like reverse anything in front of it. Any level 1 or lower is probably dead. Like it even challenges those standby 1/1 7500s fairly well as well. But yeah, be careful with that. This +2 Like if you play 3 of these, I can assure you that only one of them is probably on average going to get you 2 extra cards. But on the off chance you're out all your climaxes, this card just gets even better. It's very good at getting through first deck. The other issue, I guess, with this card is if you're winning the game at level 2, it kind of sucks because if you have too much stock, it won't activate, but we have ways around that. Level 1 anti-change counter. I think level 1 anti-change counters are some of the most broken cards in the game. Because when you're winning, you can drop them. When you're losing, you can still drop them, right? If you're winning at level 1, your opponent's level 2, they play an early play, hit him with this. Hit him with that neg 3 to make sure their card disappears. And you basically get a free block in a sense, right? It gets rid of the card that was going to attack, which means that your opponent didn't deal that damage to you. I play 2 of them for consistency. You can see this deck just picks up cards randomly. So having 2 of them means you're going to see it at least once per game if you're like looking for it. Let's move on to this. No one cares about the climax combo. We do not play it, but it's pay 1 stock swap, right? Dump your opponent's stock and shove the top card's deck into stock. This is an extremely powerful effect. If it was before level 3, it would have been even more broken, but being at level 3 means you checkmate your opponent to where they cannot gather a bunch of stock to make sure their deck state is insane. You're going to start seeing a lot of times when you play this deck that your opponent is kind of forced to pay their stock out, which means that your finisher has a higher chance of dealing damage. But that's it. We don't really play the climax combo. You can, if you want, like play splits of these gate combos and do something funny, but I've left this deck very consistent so that any player can pick it up and then interchange whatever cards they want. But I do feel that this is the best Eminence deck to take into the trio format and even in the singles format. This early play, a lot of people, you're going to hear them say it's bad, ignore them. 4 or more, -1 level from hand. Easy condition. It takes a card from your marker, it takes a card from your clock and put it underneath it as a marker, as long as that card is a character, right? I believe that's what it says here, right? Choose 1 character and put it underneath this as a marker. So you cannot put events or climaxes underneath it. So it heals to marker zone. Then it's a pay to ditch 1 on front attack, gets -2 soul. Now in any other deck, a 9k early play healer would be considered bad. Then if it somehow survived, you get to pay to ditch 1 and neg 2 soul, so effectively block off a lane of damage. But in this deck, your finisher costs 4 stock. What does that mean? You have stock to blow. So a card that may be considered bad in another version of the deck, in this deck it's considered insanely good. Because let me tell you, if you have 5 stock, you play 2 of these, then you double neg soul, right? So you go down to 1 stock, you attack 3 times, you go to 4 stock, you double neg soul. Now you go down to 0 stock, and then you block off 2 attacks, and you attack again for 3 attacks. Then the next turn, you attack again, and you have enough for your finisher. Or if you have 6 stock, then you have your finisher right after. The point being is that this finisher allows you to abuse this early play. This finisher grants you hand, and you don't need a bunch of extra cards. So it basically is the most self-sufficient finisher, I guess, in the game so far, to be honest. Like, it's equivalent to like Marine or Bocchi's level 3 finisher. So yeah, this early play, very good. You know why? Against other 1k1 decks, if you hit level 2 first, you have a lot of resources, you play this down, and whether it dies or not, you can afford the neg 2 soul and still have enough for your finisher. That's just how good it is, right? You're healing off a card and then preventing more damage to yourself. That's very strong. This finisher is pretty self-sufficient. This finisher is very self-sufficient, to be honest, right? I already talked about it earlier. It's 5 3s, right? So what does that mean? Your kill range is probably 2-5. If your opponent has at least 4 climaxes in their deck. That's why, coupled with stock swap, a lot of times, with this plus stock swap, it's 7 stock, right? The reason why stock swap isn't really good in a lot of decks is because if you pay the 3 stock for this, you don't have enough for your full finisher. But in this deck, with 7 stock, you have enough for your full finisher, allowing you to abuse it, which you could not do. The only set that could have done it like an abusive stock swap is Bang Dream, because the stock swap only cost 1 stock. So yeah, finisher's very self-sufficient. Nothing much to say. It has one of the coolest art, and it's a common. This is probably the best common ever printed in Weiss. I actually think this common is better than most of the double R's. But yeah, and you get to look cool and be edgy while your opponent dies. Why is this in here? Why do I have Iris Midgar when I run not many red? Or I guess I run enough red to player. Double up. Why are you running double up down? Well, hear this, right? Hear me out, right? There is a level 3, I think Delta or Beta or something, one of these girls, that on play, you can deal 1 damage to your opponent, right? What that means, it's a Beta, if I remember correctly. So what that means, or is it a Beta? Shoot. I don't even know what their names are, to be honest. Why spend 2 stock to deal 1 damage, right? Think of it. This is 4 stock, then I played that Beta, or whatever. I play that girl, and she deals 1 damage. Now it's 6 stock. But look at Iris, 5 stock for an extra burn 1, right? Because you're not going to have, the most stock you're aiming for is 7. And I think that's very realistic with this deck, is 7. With 7 stock, it's still 1 burn 1. You don't get to do an extra one. If you have 8 stock, cool. But the whole point is this early play lets you heal out of the opponent's kill range while beating them up to level 3. And if their opponent's level 3, they're probably dead from this finisher. So this allows you throughout the game to hit your opponent for extra damage, right? You're getting that juicy damage, right? Like putting their clock back into William could be a huge factor. It could be a huge factor in winning the game, and this can help. So for 5 stock, you get your finisher, and you get 1 burn 1. So instead of 5 threes and a 2, now it's 6 threes, which means that if any 3 of your 3 attacks stick, or I guess in this case 7 attacks, if you count this burn 1, 7 attacks stick, the opponent is, as long as they eat the burn 1 and the 2 from this, the opponent's dead from 2-5. They're just gone. And if they're 3-0, this burn 1 sticking, which means they need to eat any 2 of the 5 threes. So I think this is much more cost efficient and has other ways of, helping you out, right? Like if the opponent has like weird cards, right? Like Nikkei that can activate effects on your opponent's turn, right? So in case you don't kill them, you can double level down their cards so that they have funny effects. They don't have their funny effects. Now, I will like to shout out some combos here. This, I told you the salvages too, right? This can clone it to search, but you can actually have access to your clock. You can, if you have since your goal is 7 stock, you can actually play this healer to heal this guy out of your clock, then sack it to get 2 copies of itself. So, like, I have never missed this finisher since playing this deck. And we have so much cards that add consistency. So that's what I think. That's how you win with Eminence Shadow. Like, I know I made a joke, like how to win with a bad set from the Shadows. But actually playing this deck, I don't think it's actually bad. I think it's definitely serviceable. I think in a good player's hands, you can make top cut with this deck. It also feels like it's set up for a set 2, probably, since from looking at this, I haven't watched this anime completely yet. I'm in the middle of it, and I think it looks like it's only the first season art on it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but which means there is a probability where this is like 70s and we get a second set English exclusive. That would be cool. And if that's the case, that's probably why the cards in the set feel kind of underpowered in a lot of places, because they didn't want to make it too strong if they're adding a second set. So there you have it. You slam jam your opponent with a bunch of climaxes. You have serviceable plussing out throughout the game. You can heal a lot. And then with no resources, you can just blast your opponent down. Why play this over the door finisher? Well, I don't like RNG. I know you have ways of dealing with the RNG on the trigger check on the Beatrice finisher, but let me just tell you, this finisher is much simpler. I feel this deck is way more consistent, and I think this is the deck to take into trios and singles if you want to play Eminence in the Shadows. So, just like I talked about with Fairy Tail, I really do hope that I get some match videos with this to actually show you guys, so that you can see how the deck plays. So, catch you guys on the next video.